Oh hey there boys and girls, it's me, Spider-Dan, and I'm here today to warn you about the dangers of bad video games, specifically Marvel Nemesis, Rise of the Imperfects. Yes, even the license that is Marvel can fall scourge to the villainy that is bad video games. And so, let's cut to voiceover, because I can't do this with this mask because this is a very uncomfortable mask and I can't take it off because then my secret identity would be revealed. So, cut to... Before we start talking about this game, I need to place you in the right mindset. The year is 2005, and this is what the Marvel movie scene looked like. At this point in time, there were only two Marvel franchises that had big, mainstream appeal to the masses. That was the Spider-Man movies and the X-Men movies. Yes, at this point we were still 3 years away from Robert Dow Jones playing Iron Man and kicking off the huge encompassing global cultural obsession that was the Marvel lineup. It was a humbler time. It was a simpler time. A time when a company called Nihilistic Software, which I have never heard of before, was thrown the Marvel license for their second game. It was a time of, who cares what you do with this brand? We don't give a shit. Have you seen Elektra? So from the dark recesses of a studio held by EA, this game came out. Now, when I saw this game before it came out, I had caught glimpses of it. Bits of footage on G4 and pictures and information off of GameSpot. As I was still a young, naive lad, I considered it to be genuine enthusiasm from others, and not what the cynic adult in me could see as EA throwing around their weight to shill. But I liked the Marvel franchise, mainly the big two of Spider-Man and X-Men, but still, I seem to have somehow got the impression that this game would be like a Marvel vs. Capcom-sized roster of Marvel characters, with a 3D fighter feel like Soul Calibur. I would be wrong in both aspects. Upon playing this game, it's more of a 3D arena brawler like the Nintendo 64 Tom and Jerry game or that PS2 One Piece game. And the roster, well, I'll get into that later, but let's just say it was far below my young, eager expectations. This game and other games like it of this era had you play the single player to unlock characters for you to use in the multiplayer. Today, I will get to relive that struggle. Not out of choice, mind you. Tragically, for me, I have to play the entire single player over again because this game holds the distinction of being the very first time I ever had save data corrupt itself on a memory card. You can see here, I'm looking at my data, and as soon as I go to load the file for Marvel Nemesis, boom, hard lockup. Have to reset the PlayStation 2. This should serve you, the viewer, as a warning. This game has problems that go all the way down to its core. So off we go to single player. I will now give you a brief synopsis of the entire story. Aliens invade, or something. Someone wants to make super soldiers. They fight our heroes, save the world, or whatever. Yeah, it's not a great story. It's the same generic nonsense you've heard before, but it exists loosely as a reason for the missions to exist. In the story mode, you play as heroes as you work your way through missions. These missions have several styles and objectives. They come in the flavors of move through a level filled with enemies, complete an objective, defeat enough enemies, fight against the AI in a one-on-one fight, or any variation of those with a time limit slapped on. Yes, playing through these missions you'll discover that while the core of this game is a 3D brawler where two characters fight, most of these missions play instead like a 3D beat-em-up. Now normally this would be fine, except the core fighting wasn't designed for this. The gameplay is designed so each character has a basic attack, a block, a powered attack, and a movement option. These all function fine when in a normal fight, but the story doesn't do that. It puts you in these levels with a bunch of enemies. You end up in positions of getting chained and losing tremendous amounts of health. Not that it can't happen in other modes, but it seems worse when there are a bunch of assholes shooting at you while you're trying to fight guys close to you. Another way I could tell that the mechanics aren't meant for the multi-man melee is sometimes when you hit an enemy away, it gives you this dramatic camera shot that you can't get out of, but you sure can and will get hit while it's doing it to you, and you just stand there. Another example is how health bars work. In one-on-one fights, it makes sense, but in other levels, though, it's constantly getting knocked down, enemy after enemy after enemy. With the combination of the camera hits, the chain hits, the throwing heavy objects for massive damage at you, or my favorite of getting hit by something right out of a cutscene, it gets worn down quick. Also, the health bar does this weird bit where there are two stages of it. One is your total health and the other is your active health. Getting hit hurts both, but you can heal over time back up to your total health as long as you don't take another hit. However, if your active ever hits 0, it's game over. This has the problem where 3 big hits in quick succession can basically kill you when you're at full health. You quickly learn that the best way to handle the waves of enemies is to just hit the grab button on all of them and try to throw every single enemy off a level. The other good option is to just throw objects at everyone. Most of the objects in this game explode when thrown, so it's a pretty good option so long as you don't get punched in the dick while you're holding a barrel and drop it on yourself. In fact, throwing things is honestly the main way to go about in a normal fight. It's incredibly effective, sometimes too effective. Different characters have different strengths, so some can pick up heavy things and some can't. However, this also means that heavy things hurt them more. Like, I get it, I have no doubt that if someone threw a car at Daredevil, yeah, it's gonna fuck him up. You know, it's fair, that'd hurt pretty bad. But from a gameplay perspective, it's not balanced, and it means that some characters are better than others. Characters that can pick up everything have a huge advantage. Characters that can fly or swing also have a pretty big advantage. They can use their movement option at the end of being thrown to avoid the damage, because the throw damage comes from the landing impact, not the move itself. This imbalance will heavily influence who you're going to want to play as and which missions are going to be miserable. And trust me, some of them are absolutely bullshit. This mode has the problem of horrendous inconsistency in difficulty. There are hard missions that are followed by missions that are so easy it seems like you're fighting with regenerating health. I distinctly remember, for years after I originally played it, having gamer PTSD about a particular Daredevil mission because he's so fragile and there is some awkward platforming. Which, as you would have guessed, the platforming sucks. This engine was not designed for it, so when you do have to do it, it doesn't seem to work at all. Just look here. You need to wall run up to Wink on this console, but the platform is just high enough that you can't do it. You're supposed to wall run up this side bit, then wall run over to her platform. But the detection on which way you're going and where to do it is so shitty that I'm struggling at it, even though I know exactly what I need to do. But as frustrating as those parts are, they pale in comparison to the worst mission in the game. I present to you the mission, Blazing Speed. In this mission, you play as the Human Torch. You have 3 minutes and 20 seconds to defeat 20 enemies. This sounds easy enough, but this level is so rage-inducing I must have purged it from my memory. I was so angry that I managed to forget to record footage of it, because by the time I was done, I was an avatar of rage. This mission puts you as the weak, frail hero of the Human Torch. Then it throws you into the nightmare level. There are explosive barrels everywhere. There are cars you cannot pick up everywhere. They explode. The enemies can pick up the cars. There are walls around the stage so you can't knock enemies off the level. The enemies you fight are the tankier ones who don't go down quickly. There's that horrendous timer. There were so many times where I was at 18 or 19 enemies and I ran out of time. There were many more where, having to play dangerously to make it in time, I was obliterated. Normally, by a car being hurled at me. That timer of 320, it took me an hour and a half instead. The entire time I was furious. I hope that whatever developer made this mission has to suffer the torture of watching Rise of the Silver Surfer every night before they can go to sleep. And if they try and sleep without watching it, well, their house is rigged with a blaring siren that constantly goes off, preventing them from sleeping unless they look at the screen. Well, why wouldn't they just leave their house to go to sleep? Well, there are Silver Surfer enforcers who roam the streets looking for bad devs trying to skip their punishment. And these enforcers will beat the unconsciousness into them. And honestly, it's sad how many times the developer chooses the beatings over the movie. What the hell was I talking about? Oh right, so the story's all done and all the characters unlocked. If you're standing at this point in the game, you have suffered through the awful sound design.
Wolverine, this is Storm. Avengers Mansion is under attack. I repeat, Avengers Mansion is under attack. Over.
The weird, I think they were going for style, graphics.
My name is Dr. Niles Van Rokel.
And the bugs. So many bugs. Many of these probably got in your way, ruining missions for you, or even crashing the game entirely. But you stuck through it. You did it. You are free to play the Versus mode now. But if you are like me, you're probably ready to pitch this game. Anyway, now that we've unlocked them all, I can give you a brief overview of each character.
Going in the order that they are presented, I will give you a brief rundown of all the playable characters. The Thing. Aside from his catchphrase,
"It's clobbering time,"
the Thing brings not much to the table. He's a strong heavyweight and his mobility is to jump high. It makes sense that he's one of the starting default characters. His benefit is he can pick up every object. This ends everything I have to say about the Thing. Wolverine. Of your starting lineup, Wolverine is probably the one you will pick the most. He has a decent middle ground playstyle. He isn't super lightweight, but he can't pick up heavy objects. His special lets him do more damage with his claws, and his healing factor lets him regenerate health in a way that no other character can. His mobility options, however, are wall running and wall climbing with his claws, both of which are pointless and you will never use in a one-on-one fight. Elektra. Elektra is a lightweight character, which is a pretty big negative for her. She makes up for it by having a ranged attack for her special, but then, just like her movie, she finds a way to disappoint everyone by having a pointless wall-running mobility option. I wish I had more to say about Elektra, but she's not bringing much to the table. Spider-Man. Okay, here we go. Spider-Man is a pretty solid, decent character. He's pretty hefty, not in a way where he's a big heavyweight like the Thing, but he can still pick up heavy objects. Plus his special is a pretty solid range attack. Then he tops it all off by having a good versatile movement option of web swinging. He's pretty fun to play. So far he's the best character in the game, but can he keep this spot? Well, he's certainly not going to lose it to Daredevil. I would argue that Daredevil is the worst character in the game. He is very fragile and lightweight. His special is a sort of, but not really, ranged attack, and his only positive is that his mobility option is swinging. But it's not infinite like Spider-Man or Venom's. It seems like it's got a limit and then he has to land. It's a shame, but let's be honest. In 2005, no one's favorite hero was Daredevil. Storm. Storm probably gives Spider-Man a run for his money. She manages to have the ability to pick up most heavy objects with the exception of the biggest ones. Plus, her ranged attack is a lightning bolt that arguably homes in on the enemy and can be spammed easily. This, combined with her flight mobility, makes her a good character to pick. Venom. It's hard to say anything about Venom that I didn't already say about Spider-Man. He has all the same capabilities and moves as the web slinger, which, given their histories, I guess that makes sense they'd play the same. The only thing I could think of is because his stature is bigger, you would think he'd get to be able to pick up heavier objects, but no, he has the same 80% limit like Spider-Man does. The Human Torch. Oh my god! Oh god! Oh man! Oh Johnny, what'd they do to you? The Human Torch continues to suffer by not only having to exist on fire, but basically being Flying Daredevil. Yeah, he has all the lightweight baggage, but he makes up for it by 1, having a ranged attack, and 2, being able to fly. Next is Iron.
I am Iron Man.
Yes, I was just about to say your name, Jesus! Iron Man is another good top-tier character. His suit allows him to be strong enough to pick up everything and makes him feel like he's not made of rice paper. Plus, his ranged attack is pretty solid and the suit lets him fly. My one complaint would be that he seems to lack a personality compared to the other characters, but I don't know if that's an issue of seeing the Marvel movie Iron Man and applying my expectations backwards in time or not. So, I'm not going to worry about it. And our last Marvel character, Magneto. It's weird to look at this character and it be Magneto, because when I think of Magneto, I think more of, But I guess this is his look here. Magneto is interesting because when he's being used normally, he's kind of weakish. But using his special makes him a lot better. He gets a ranged attack, but the bigger bonus is that he can basically pick up anything at range. On top of it, he can fly. I have a feeling in a tighter made game, he would be a high skill ceiling character. At this point, I have to address the awkward half the roster sized elephant that's in the room. That is the Imperfects. They are the super soldiers created to fight the heroes in our Take Over the World plot. I don't want to hate them because honestly I think Solara and Johnny Ohm are neat enough characters, but something about them just feels off, like Necrid in Soul Calibur 2. I like the way that they're introduced to the player in the story in that you're given a hero to kill off as an imperfect, and then you can't select that hero or their missions anymore, but I get the feeling that many players and fans didn't care for that. First is Wink. She was a famous and skilled magician until criminals burned her face off. Now she is a mysterious shade who is the first imperfect you encounter in the story. She basically plays like Elektra, but without the ranged move. Instead, she has a teleport, so that's cool, I guess. Next is Johnny Ohm. I like the personality and design of Johnny.
By the way, my name's Johnny Ohm.
And I think you could do much worse with the concept of an electric villain. Unfortunately, as far as the roster is concerned, he's kind of redundant. He basically plays exactly like Storm, all the way down to the electric ranged attack and flight.
It's mind over matter, baby. I don't mind. You don't matter.
Fault Zone. Fault Zone started life as a Russian ballerina, but then suffered an accident and lost her legs. Now her new legs make earthquakes. Her playstyle is more unique of all the Imperfects. She has a pretty decent tremory special, and she can pick up heavy objects. She's a decent character except for the accent.
Do you want to come out and play?
Solara. Solara is probably my favorite Imperfect to play as. She's the daughter of a Yakuza who survived more fires than you would ever want. Now she's embraced the fire within herself. As far as her playstyle, she's just a better Human Torch. That's it. She does everything he does, but better because she isn't a lightweight. Brigade. Brigade is a squad of soldiers who were all killed in what, considering the time, must have been the Iraq War. Then they were Frankenstein together into Brigade. He plays like the Thing, except he has a ranged attack. Much like the Thing, I don't have anything else to say. Hazmat. Hazmat has the cliched story of a doctor who injected his own serum/virus into himself. He plays identical to both Spider-Man and Venom, except I think he can't pick up heavy objects like they can, so it might be argued that he's worse Spider-Man. Paragon. Paragon is the ultimate super soldier that I'm pretty sure was meant to be the culmination of all the research of the other Imperfects. She's very tanky and can pick up all objects. Plus, she has the ability to teleport. Since she has those bonuses and also fights with claws, this makes her better Wolverine. Last, we have the mastermind behind it all, Niles Van Roker, an alien who orchestrated all the disasters that led to all the Imperfects becoming who they are. He's very much a Lex Luthor type of character. So being mind over matter, he fights by sitting in a big mech suit. In the end, he's just better Iron Man, which Iron Man was already a top-tier character. I guess this makes sense considering Niles is the last character you unlock.
Honestly, the roster is kind of underwhelming. It doesn't help that half the roster is made up of edgy, do-not-steal original characters. Not that all of them are bad, but this is not what people were coming to a Marvel game for. And even on the Marvel side, I could do without these duds. It's funny that they were mostly in there just because they had movies that came out. But even funnier is that the story starts off with the devs doing the ballsy move of killing off Captain America, the Punisher, and the Hulk. Honestly, considering he didn't even have a movie or any big media presence at that point, I'm surprised Iron Man got into this game. But there were a lot of questionable decisions going on with this game. Like, of the cover, why is only one of the characters on it playable from the start? Why fill the roster with non-Marvel characters when their playstyles all feel like clones of the Marvel characters already there? Did they want to make a game with these characters and didn't think it would sell without the Marvel to hold it up? I don't think it worked either way because it seems like this game is a forgotten relic of a bygone era. I'm never going back to 2005, just like I'm never going to play this game again. And so, that's why I give this game my final rating of not so fast, Spider-Dan. Hey, who are you? It's me, Sandan. Yeah, no, I got no idea who you are. I do not recognize you. Now see, I'm wearing green with stripes, just like the guy in the movie. In fact, throw a side-by-side comparison. No one can tell the difference. I'm here to put an end to your lazy video game reviews and video making. In fact, I've got an evil scheme that'll get rid of you for good. Oh no, you're not going to grind my face into a subway car in a reverse act of the movie, are you? No, I wish. I don't have the technical skill for that, but I promise you, it's even more deadly. Even worse than that, you don't have an infinity gauntlet, do you? No, I wish, but a prop would cost money. No, I've got something way cheaper and more effective than that. The power of my imagination. I'm going to imagine you don't exist. I don't believe in you. 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 I don't believe in you.